Hey guys, I've been back in the UK for almost 3 weeks now, and I have to say it has been really nice to have come back here this time of year. Great weather for the UK. It's been great to catch up with family and friends. Now, this is not a video talking about why the UK is bad. This is my home country. This is where I lived for the first 22 years of my life. However, I wouldn't want to move back here. I've lived in Florianopolis for the last 11 years. It's become my home, and living there has probably taught me a lot about things that I value and don't want to give up. And we're going to explore some of that in this video. For those who don't know, my name is James Rocks. I'm originally from the UK. Today I'm coming to you from London, but I've actually been living in Florianopolis, Brazil for the last 11 or so years, and I wouldn't change it for anywhere else. Now, one of the motives is weather. That sounds a bit funny saying that on a beautiful summer's day here in the UK. This is a very nice place to be during the summer, but for about 9 months of the year, it feels like a real slog being in the UK. It sucks your energy. It can suck your drive. There's something about living somewhere like Florianopolis where the weather, let's say 9 months out of the year, is really nice. Even in the winter, you can have some really great weather where you can go to the beach. I've seen it hit 30 degrees on a winter's day. Okay, occasionally there are cold snaps as well, like just before coming back. But for the majority of the year, you have quite a pleasant climate. And saying that, even in the winter, where it averages around 20, if you're from the UK, actually that's quite pleasant conditions. Another factor is lifestyle. The UK can feel like a rat race. It seems to lack that spontaneity that South America has. Particularly if you're in a big city like London, it can just be all sort of work. And in Brazil, and particularly someone like Florianopolis, there seems to be a good work-life balance. Now, I say that as a business owner. I still work a lot of hours in Florianopolis, but that's more on me than the culture itself. A lot of Brazilians and people who've relocated there allow themselves into their daily routine to build in more leisure, whether that's surf, gym, outdoor activities, whatever that may be. And culturally, it's normal. Culturally, it's a big thing to stop for family events. Okay, people can be not always so punctual as well, but it seems sometimes being in the moment and being with people is more important. Another factor is that sense of adventure. I don't know for you who live in the UK, but life can feel very dull at moments. You only just need to switch on a bit of daytime TV or catch some of the soap operas, and almost like this feeling of almost depression. The UK can be gloomy, it can be dull, it can be predictable, and in contrast, life in Brazil is somewhat of an adventure, a vibrant culture, a different language to grapple with. There's never a dull moment. Each day presents unique challenges. In some ways, it's actually nice to just come to the UK after a few years of being out, just to have, as we'll say in England, a bit of a breather, to take stock and rest a bit. But there's a buzz about being somewhere like Brazil. Even with the city of London in the background, the business capital here, Brazil is an interesting business environment, particularly as an international and as a bilingual person. It presents some amazing opportunities. By no means is doing business in Brazil easy. It's not for the faint of heart, but it's been rewarding, and it's given me an opportunity to carve out a niche for myself, and to do something unique. And even if I was to compare my business setup in Brazil, and Brazilians complain a lot about tax. My tax situation in Brazil is a lot more favorable than it would be here in the UK as well. And the day-to-day challenges, do you know, they're fun. As I say, there's never a dull moment. On my day-to-day, I get to show some of the most spectacular destinations and properties in Brazil to clients. Another factor is the cost of living. In the UK, prices have really shot through the roof in a lot of ways. People here talk about the crisis in the cost of living. And I know that's not just unique to the UK, that is a global thing. And even in Brazil, yes, prices have gone up as well. But generally, you do a lot better in Brazil for your day-to-day expenses, you know, your rent, running a vehicle, food, those things. Good message. Florianopolis, by Brazilian standards, isn't considered a cheap city necessarily. However, by UK standards, European standards, North American standards, you get a lot of bang for your buck. Your money goes a long way. So if you are earning from, let's say, outside in Brazil, if you're able to work remotely, you'll find that your money goes much further. Of course, there are some things you lose out on, such as import taxes on electronics, designer goods. But the way you get around that is that when you visit your home country or have people come and visit you, then you purchase those things or you get them to buy them for you. So overall, you gain living in Brazil. You can have an amazing lifestyle for the fraction of a cost. Imagine the cost of living in big cities in the UK, such as London, such as Bristol, where I've spent a lot of time and currently staying most of the time whilst I'm back. You know, great places, but the prices of houses, rent are through the roof. Another factor is people as well. I would say in the UK, people are actually very polite. However, in Brazil, people are warm. That's a huge difference. And for many people who experience that Brazilian warmth, that welcome, that genuine interest, it makes them really fall in love with the Brazilian people. That's not to be disparaging about people here or anywhere else in the world, but Brazilians are very good at hospitality, and you know, it's a great place to strike up new friendships. It's not difficult to engage people in conversation or be engaged in conversation. It does strike me that if you're particularly introverted and live in the UK, you may be lonely, okay? Whereas in Brazil, not so much. Another factor is nature, and that's not to say that the UK isn't a beautiful place. It is a beautiful place, and it's certainly an amazing place to be in the summer. I'm from a region called the Cotswolds, and we have some amazing countryside. But in Brazil, particularly where I live, there's some absolutely stunning nature. In Florianopolis, you have that blend of the urban with the ocean and the backdrop of the Atlantic forest. You have lakes. You have some amazing idyllic beaches. And if you are a nature lover, if you're an outdoor person, or you just appreciate being in a really beautiful part of the world, it is somewhere that lifts you. You know, sometimes I have to remind myself in Brazil, in the midst of busyness with work sometimes, which I put on myself, you know, I have to remind myself what an amazing place I live in, and what a privilege it is to live in a place where you can enjoy sunsets on the beach as you take a stroll, or you know, on your doorstep you have some absolutely stunning beaches to enjoy. What I miss? Well, there are quite a few things that I miss about the UK. Family, friends, British humour. Not everybody gets that, unfortunately. It can be lost on Brazilians at times. Certain foods, going out for a curry, our national dish. There are other things that you miss here as well. The ease of being able to buy certain goods, you know, thinking from a consumeristic perspective, It's easier to access more, let's say, global foods, different flavors. We have that in Brazil, but it's not necessarily as plentiful as it would be in a big city such as London, Bristol, Manchester, Birmingham, somewhere like that. I'm often asked as well, would I move back to the UK? And the honest answer is no, not out of choice. And I think genuinely, if I was to move back, if I had to leave Brazil, I think there'll be part of me that would be really sad about that, almost feel quite depressed about it. Brazil is where I built my home. It's where I built my life. It's where I have my business. My family is settled there. My kids have spent most of their lives in there. And life is good. It costs to get there. It takes time to get there. It means letting go maybe of some expectations of places. It means accepting that things are different to the way they may work in other places. It means grappling with a new language, a different culture. It can be difficult, the transition to adapt, but actually when you get there to the other side, it's absolutely worth it. And you know, Brazil is an amazing place for lifestyle. I think for most people I talk to, whether they will be clients or friends who spend time in Brazil or even in Brazil full time, it's the lifestyle that keeps people there or keeps drawing people back to Brazil. It's the people, it's the incredible nature, it's the great climate. No place is perfect, but Brazil, and particularly Florianopolis, is a great place to call home.